Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this live event, Lead to Win, Negotiation as a Leadership Essential. So, thank you for joining live, but also warm thank you to the many people that watch the recording of our video, right? The timing may not be suitable for everyone, but with us, you can get the recording. So just register for our events and you will be able to get the recording of what is coming up. I have the pleasure to have with me my colleague and friend Remi Smolinski. But before we get to know Remi a bit more, and probably many of you already know him, right? Because he's a very, very popular figure on LinkedIn. And as a chief editor of one of the leading magazines in the world of negotiation, then he's also sharing lots of insightful information around the world of negotiation. But let's say before we go into getting to know Remi, how about getting to know our audience? Maybe you have some specific expectation, or maybe you want to just simply tell us from where you're connecting. Because Remi is a Polish person living in Germany. I'm an Italian person living in Switzerland. Out of those four countries, maybe, we should have some of the people that are joining us today, and probably many more from other different countries. So let's try to find out who is with us today and from where you're connecting. So we have the chat that you have on the right side, and we have Bogomil. Bogomil, a passionate negotiator, right? Somebody that has left the corporate world to enjoy life and share with the others the many things that he has learned about negotiation. So thank you, Bogomil, for being with us today. Another master of negotiator, Francesco, an Italian living in Paris. Ciao, Francesco. And we are delighted, to have more people joining us today. And as we have, more people that connect and share with us where they're coming from, how about getting to know about the people that are with you? Now, my name is Giuseppe. Many of you already know me. I am a former procurement executive that became negotiation and influencing professor. And let's try to find out a bit more about Remi. Yes.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for your kind invitation, Giuseppe. So I think my name you guys can see on the screen. I'm a negotiation professor based at HHL, Leipzig Graduate School of Management. And together with a passionate group of friends, we try to evangelize the world that negotiation is not a necessary evil, but actually a very handy tool to make this world a better place. So what this concretely means is we run negotiation competitions, which is, by the way, one of them is taking place right now as we speak. The negotiation challenge for professionals. We are now in the second round. There are two more to go. There will be, if you guys missed it this year, you can join next year. There will be one, hopefully, if we're still around, there will be another one next year. I focus in my research, I focus on negotiation, mainly on negotiation performance and leadership. And together with my son, we're building right now an science-based AI supported negotiation learning platform called Discurso.AI.
Wow, amazing. Right, by the way, maybe if we find the time, I know it's not the topic of today, we can have a quick chat about what you're doing in the space of AI, because it's a topic that may be interesting for our audience, by the way, that is joining us from so many different countries and different continents. So let's start maybe, the title is Lead to Win. What is your opinion, the link between leadership and negotiation?
This is a great question, Giuseppe. Thank you so much for laying the ground for hopefully a fruitful discussion and interaction also with the audience, guys. let me post this question to you as well. Yes, do you see any links? Do you not see any links? Let us know in the comments how you see the connection of these two notions. As I will share my view, which is strongly inspired by the late Jesuit Syracuse, who was a negotiation scholar for many years, affiliated with the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy, and a mentor, a supervisor of my dissertation, of my doctoral dissertation. And a couple of years ago, he published a book which inspired me strongly and triggered my interest in the topic. The book is called "Real Leaders Negotiate." I have it somewhere behind me, but I'll spare you guys the details. I'm sure you will be able to find it. In this book, he systematically develops the thesis that actually all leaders, to be effective, they need to be great negotiators. And so that's the underlying thesis, and I'll gladly explain it in more detail. It's to understand this connection, we have to look a little bit closer on each of the things that we're talking about: leadership and negotiation. So, what is leadership? Yes, leadership originally comes from an Old English word which means to be ahead. Yes, to be ahead, and over time it has developed significantly. Our understanding of what leadership is, what it means to be an effective leader, has evolved over time from back in the 16th, 17th century. A great leader is a great person, and a great person is a great leader, basically. And we're since then we've moved very, very far away. Meaning, right now we're looking at completely different concepts of effective leadership, not only in science but also in practice. Meaning, an effective leader is someone who manages to convince others, the followers, yes, to do what he intends to do for their joint organization, yes, or their joint cause, joint purpose. Yes. So if we look at this process, how this convincing takes place, yes, this convincing is nothing else but a big, repetitive, ongoing negotiation. It's a communication process between the leader and potential followers, or followers, intended to align their incentive structures with the incentive structure, or with the vision of the leader and the incentive structure of their joint organization, so that at the end of the day, the followers end up doing willingly end up doing what the leader intends to do. And that should already start ringing bells all over the place, because if we then contrast this short description of what leadership is with basic definitions of negotiations, we realize that there are many common characteristics. Yes, so both are communication processes. So basically, we end up talking to each other. Both are intended to influence each other's judgment, each other's decisions, and both have an incentive for the parties to be good at it. Yes, meaning, if I'm a good negotiator, I end up with what I want, or more what I want. Yes, if I'm a good negotiator, I end up with solutions to complex problems. Yes, which require not only my smartness, my judgment, but also the trust and input from my negotiation partners. And this is exactly this interaction between people on the level of communication is the quintessence of the common ground between leadership and negotiation. A lot more research is needed to understand this relationship, but already now what we can say, based on observing use cases from the past and based on the research that has been done so far, or initiated by Jess Syracuse and done by others so far, is that effective leadership, and I want you guys to raise your hands if you disagree with me, or express it in the comments. Effective leadership means effective negotiation, or requires effective negotiation. Maybe not means, but requires effective negotiation.
Fantastic. We have already a supporting comment from Supratim, indeed. Now, thank you, Remy, for making clear this link. Now, uh, let's move into the topic of negotiation, which is probably the primary interest of our audience. You did a lot of research about negotiation performance. What does it really mean?
And this is a great follow-up question because so far we've just by connecting these two notions of leadership and negotiation, talked about effectiveness. Yes. So in terms of leadership effectiveness or effectiveness of leadership, we know roughly. Actually, we know quite good what it is, measured by rate of followership, motivation, and there are many other tools in management that have been developed in management to diagnose the effective leadership. Yes, but until recently, we had absolutely no idea what it means to be effective negotiators. Yes, so a thesis that I allowed myself to express, meaning effective leadership requires effective negotiation, requires a definition of what effective negotiation is. Yes, and after almost 20 years, of running negotiation competitions, I think we are getting closer and closer to understanding what that really is, what it really means. Yes, effective negotiation or great negotiation or negotiation performance in our perception, yes, can be sliced into 2.5, 3 dimensions. Yes, dimension number one is the substance, the content, the value of the deal. Yes, so we usually negotiate with a purpose. Yes? So
Yeah,
when Giuseppe was a procurement executive, he negotiated to decrease or increase the margins, decrease the costs. Yes, if some of you guys are working in sales, you negotiate to generate revenue. Yes, so there is a purpose behind negotiating, and substantive dimension basically tell us how good we are in achieving our objectives. Yes, these objectives in our competitions, these objectives are perfectly measurable. I do realize that in something that many people call the real world, it's not always the case, but it doesn't mean that we cannot measure it. We can always measure negotiation skills. It's just that we need to adapt the context to the method, or use the method in a context that makes sense. So number one is the value of the deal, a
substance.
substantive
Yeah,
relationship. Number two is the relationship between the parties. And also that also there for many years we believe that or many people believe that this is an elusive concept that cannot be measured. Wrong again. Yes, by now we can capture the quality of relationships with survey questionnaires that we distribute at the end of the negotiation, and it's a key dimension, because at the end it's not only about squeezing the last cent out of our suppliers, or getting the best deal for today, but it's also, if we look at the rate of recurrent business in any given industry, it varies. Yes, there are some industries where it's very low. So if you guys are selling used cars, you probably are not selling used cars to the same people over and over again. Unlikely. So, but if you are in a mature industry where your job is to secure excellent procurement conditions, well, then you're most likely working with the same people over and over again. And what we notice in the data from our competition is that negotiators who win it are usually great relationship builders, are kind, are polite, warm-hearted. There are people who immediately create positive feelings, positive associations with themselves through their positive actions and attitudes. Yes, so that's the second dimension. So now we have two: substance, relationship, and since for the last, I think, 2 years, we've started experimenting also with evaluating the process, which this year we are able to do it with our AI tools. Yeah? So basically, when we record a negotiation, our AI tool is able to assess that negotiation very similarly to an expert an expert judge and score the process within about 10% on average, 10% discrepancy from an expert human expert negotiator. Yes, so this is something that we're currently testing in our not testing, have implemented, yes, in the ongoing negotiation competition, and we are very pleased to see that this is actually working better than we had expected. So 3 dimensions: substance, value of a deal; relationship, meaning willingness to work with us in the future in a positive context; and the process that generates those outcomes, evaluated either by an expert or an AI algorithm.
Fantastic. Now, maybe the first 2 topics are very clear for our audience. Maybe can you say a few more words about, when you develop your AI tool to score the process, what will be the key dimension that you will be measuring to indicate also to the audience what do we mean by an effective process?
Yes. So basically, what we did about let me think, already 5 years ago, together with a graduate student of mine, Emilia, we looked at a whole bunch of papers that in some way connect certain elements of behavior at the negotiating table with an outcome, positive or negative. Yes, and then we clustered these papers into competencies or meta competencies, and there are 16 competencies in our model. I wouldn't even remember all 16 of them right off the bat, but we divided them into 4 meta competencies, and that is communication. As the first one is communication, meaning how clearly do we express ourselves? Are we able to communicate our interests? How good are our questions? Are those questions appropriate? Question types are appropriate depending on the phase of the negotiation, so open-ended, close-ended, and so on. So that's the first block, the communication, so the quality of communication. The largest block is called negotiation intelligence, and that is a collection of tools and methods, yes, that correlate with better negotiation and with better negotiation outcomes. Such as, for example, we know that first offers usually help. We know that setting the stage in a positive tone usually helps, and there are, I think, 8 or 9 more of them. Yes, in that bucket. That's by far the largest bucket. And the next meta competency is building trust and relationships, very much connected with the dimension that we measure at the end.
Yeah.
But this is the process that leads to it. Yes. And finally, something which we called moral wisdom, and it consists of 2 competencies, and that is empathy and ethics. As we strongly believe that in our mission, in our mandate, maybe not mandate, but mission to make our world a little bit better, we need to also consider aspects of justice as aspects of justice.
Wow.
Therefore, we added 2 competencies at the end: empathy and ethics.
Fantastic. Right now, we are giving so many hints to our hints about, negotiation performance, what is needed. So, because too often we focus on the substance, we may forget the relationship, we may not think about, what is going to be the right process. Now, if we try to condensate this in simple terms, what it looks like to negotiate well.
This is exactly the stage we are at right now. So basically, what we've done so far is we've analyzed about 20 years of data, and are now sharing the insights of certain insights that are not obvious. So let me share those, and then we'll have an outlook on how to learn it, or how to apply it. So to put it in a very short and extract the gist of it, it's let me think how I phrase it. Kindness wins. Yes, or warmness wins. Let me say it like that. Warmness/kindness wins. Yes. So what we do is what we did together with a friend of mine, Peter Kesting. We looked at substantive and relational outcomes, and normally we would expect a trade-off between them. So exactly like Giuseppe, like you said, yes. Either we insist on substantive outcome, on the quality or value of the deal, and then we forget about the relationship. So that's a sort of one of the trade-offs. The other trade-off would be I like you so much, Giuseppe, that whatever you ask me for, I will give you. Yes, I will accommodate all your requests. And so we expected this sort of to see this trade-off in the data, but we didn't. It seems that the dimensions, these dimensions are, we say in science, orthogonal, which means independent. Yes, they are independent, which means I can be really good in engineering value for me. Yes, and at the same time, I can be perceived as a respectful, kind, and polite negotiator. These two do not exclude each other. These are completely different dimensions. Yes, and people can perceive the differences between them. Yes, so. And this is actually very interesting. This is actually very interesting because it goes against a method, a myth that is very much substantiated or distributive out there by many of also our respected colleagues. Yes, hey, softness, hardness. No, it's not about softness. It's not about hardness. It's not even about being principle based. Yeah, it's about being always kind, regardless of how assertive we are in terms of looking, or persistent we are in terms of looking for wise solutions, or chasing value. Yes, and this is something that that was very surprising when we looked at the data, when we spoke with the winners of our competitions. They are kind. Yes, they were all nice. Yes, and despite the nicest, them being nice, they were able to get the deals that were better than any other deals. Or maybe not despite, maybe it's because of that. Yes, and this is actually very interesting, which I think goes against many of our how do I say many of our beliefs. Yes, or against our intuition. Hey, to get a lot, we have to be tough. We have to be assertive. We have to insist on what we really want. We have to be repetitive. If it's not enough to say it twice, then we say it 3 times. No, guys, that's not the way. The way to changing somebody's judgment and assessment and giving us what we believe we should be getting is either through an economic exchange, that's rational arguments, or by convincing them that we actually want that we're actually good, polite, that we actually want to be a part of the solution together with them.
Wow. All right. Very interesting, right? It changes a lot. Maybe, just to give you a different type of perspective, on the topic, I'll share the story of a procurement director in France that used to play this trick with suppliers. He will have a pipe of paper, he will put it on the desk, and he will say, I have an offer which is 12% lower than yours. If you don't give me a lower price, I'm going to kick you out right away, right? That's the old school of negotiation that used to be there. And now what you're saying is that research-based, kindness wins, warmness wins, more than assertiveness, more than being tough with other people. Or, another way to say it is an iron fist in a velvet glove. What do you think about this one?
Unless it doesn't strike, as long as it doesn't strike my face, then it can be. Then a velvet glove is a nice metaphor. Yes, exactly. So And this is very important. This is very important. It's not about being hard. It's not about being soft. It's about and it's not even about being principle based. It's about knowing what we want and being kind while trying to get it. Yes, it's much easier, guys. If you guys are listening to us, I always encourage my students to do a thought experiment. When would you do someone a favor that they are asking you for? As typically business school students answer, well, if they will give me something back. And so that's the rational, that's the reasonable level of exchange, right? This is how we've been conditioned. Not only business students, basically the last 100,000 of years of evolution have, and even more. Have shown us that when we meet others, we typically can create value by exchanges, right? So you give me this, what I don't have, and I give you something that you don't have, right? So this is very deeply ingrained in our mind, and especially present for business students or among business students. But there is also one more instance in which we are willing and able to willingly do so, and that is if we like the person who's asking. Yes, and this is a very, I know it's not evidence, it's not a scientific proof, but it's another data point that you guys can take with you. Yes, whoever you are, wherever you are, and how, regardless of how little you believe in what I'm saying right now, I'm sure you've had a situation when someone you like or maybe love asks you for a favor and you agreed, knowing that you're not getting anything in return, or not much in return. Yes, and this is exactly the core mechanism. Yes, in our mind, value is not only attached to the deal or to objects that we negotiate. Value is also attached to the feelings that we have while being accompanied by someone we like. Yes, and this is we are unable in our mind, although this is a bold thesis, right, which still needs to be validated, but I tend to believe that in our mind we are not able to separate one from the other that well.
Fantastic. Let me give a different perspective, right? When we talk about dealing with internal stakeholders, and if you're meeting an internal stakeholder for the first time, 82% of the judgment that the other person is going to make is going to boil down to two competencies: warmth and competence.
Yes.
So if you want, the liking and the fact of being professional.
Exactly.
Or if you want to look in a different way, system 1 and system 2. If you look at the dual process theory that was, for instance, written by Kahneman among other authors. So there should be the liking element is certainly an important element when you're interacting with people.
Yes.
As a leader, as an influencer, as a negotiator.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Yes, perfect summary. Yes, intention and competencies. That's the quickest judgments that we formulate within seconds of meeting a person for the first time. Yes, and this has a huge impact on the extent to which we are willing to accept them as a leader or accept their requests if they have any.
Fantastic. To conclude, Remi, the last question: how can our audience improve performance across those key dimensions, right? You mentioned, the 16 competence, and you mentioned, the 4 categories. If you have to give, a last advice, if you want to give, something that our audience can do to improve performance across key dimensions, what will they be?
Wow, that's a tough one. That's a tough one, Giuseppe. So let me think. I would share two pieces of advice. Number one, I can bet even large amounts that most of those who are listening to us have no idea how good they really are at the negotiating table. That they have never measured their negotiation competencies, never compared it, and if so, they probably have. We probably have met, yes, because there are not that many people out there who can offer this assessment and who can systematically measure strengths and maybe improvement areas in terms of the competencies that add up to the negotiation skill. So the first piece of recommendation, if you want to improve, you need to know what to improve, right? Which means you need to measure how good you really are today. Yes. And if you are thinking, how the heck am I supposed to do it? Yes. Can someone do it for us? Yes. And this is exactly the core of my research. This is exactly what we are doing during the negotiation challenge, which is our negotiation competition, or for companies. Yes, sometimes companies approach us and ask us, hey, I want to measure the effectiveness or the negotiation skill in my team. And why do I want to measure? Not to punish them, but to make them better. And to become better. The key word in the question that you've asked, Giuseppe, right now is improve. Yeah? To improve means that I have to have a basis for my assessment and then create a delta. Yes, which means that to be able to answer this question, we have to have two measurement points and training that systematically addresses those the things which we actually need to improvement on. Yes, so that's the first piece of advice. Measure it. Join our competitions. Ask us how to do it. We'll gladly share it with you guys. And
yeah, and by the way, we do it for a number of corporate customers, right? With Remi, we did it, for instance, with one of the top 3 pharma companies. So, you do drop us an email and we can see how can this be done for your organization. Yeah,
exactly. So that's number one. And number two is we're building right now a platform which is called Discurso.AI. And this is science-based. Basically, everything we find out, we try to squeeze in there and add AI on top of it to make it more interesting for you guys. And above all, self-sustaining. What does it mean? Well, it means we're working on our retirement, Giuseppe, yours and mine, which means making ourselves redundant, and at the same time, something that has not been there. Has not been out there, which means it's a place where anyone, anytime across the world could come and join. Yes, check how good they negotiate as compared to hundreds of other. We have, I don't know, almost 1,000 people on the platform from all continents right now. How you guys could compare how well you negotiate already now. Yes, and our coach, which we are building right now. So it's not there yet, but something that we're building, as we speak. As soon as it's finished, we will release the prototype or the beta version. Our coach would tell you at the end, hey, this is how well you did on the substantive outcome. This is how well you did on the relational outcome. And this is the assessment of your process. These are your strengths. These are your weaknesses. And these are the next steps that you need to do in order to become a better negotiator. Yes. So make sure you guys observe Discurso.AI, because this is a lot of magic is going to happen there in the next couple of weeks and months. And if everything goes well, we're hoping and planning to launch it at the end of the year for a broader public. We're still testing with the students and in our competitions, but it's still not where we would like it to be when we release it.
Fantastic. Remi, our time is up. Thank you also for the people in the comments that made question, but I guess, we've really been running a bit late, so we're not going to be able to go any further into your comments, but so enlightening to have you, Remi, and to hear, the kind of topics that you're doing. And certainly, this last piece, this AI platform that help you also understand how you're doing today, but what can you do to get better, is one of the piece of work that we're going to be following in the coming months, and that is part of the future of how we negotiate. Thank you very much again. Thank you to our audience for your active participation, for your comments, and for your question. And looking forward to reconnecting with you. Our next event, for your information, is on the 24th of November at 1 p.m., 1 a.m. like today, Central European Time. And we will look at some of the behavioral biases that influence the way we negotiate, with a professor from London School of Economics. So Marta Coelho. So stay connected. We will see each other live on the 24th of November. And of course, if you're not yet following Remi and I, then, you may want to follow both of us, because we publish on LinkedIn on a daily basis, and you may get some additional idea of something that can help you to become a wonderful negotiator. So thanks again. Thank you, Remi. Thank you for our audience. All the
Thank you
very
so much,
best.
guys. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.